my swim time. Gonna bust up your behind. This is my swim time. Gonna mess up your whole mind. This is my swim time. Gonna bust up your behind. This is my swim time. Gonna mess up your whole mind.
Welcome to Work the Left Side. I'm hyped to announce tonight's guest. It is Malachi from Kumite. Dude, how are we doing? You good?
I'm all right, mate. How are you? It's blistering hot at the moment, but apart from that, I'm all right.
Good. 5x5. Yeah, I'm sat here with a bloody beanie on, absolutely sweating my testes off for some reason, but safety blanket. I've got to have this on when I record. So I'm like,
Yeah.
Heat me damned. I will not be debeaned. That sounded very wrong. I regret saying.
Yeah, nobody wants to be debeamed, surely.
Obviously, yeah, man, we've been sorting this out for a while. Obviously, you know, I've been wanting to talk to you guys for a while. And then, obviously, we made contact, we started talking. I think it was obviously on the back of like the Alfie episodes and things like that. Obviously, I went through a period, quite a few guests on, that were, regulars in your house.
Yeah, that's it. I saw the episode with Alfie, I saw the one with Lou, and I saw the one with Alton Thorne as well. Saw a bit of that last week as well. So yeah. I'm there.
But I mean, I was going to bring up the Alton Thorne one because he made a really good point during that conversation that I've not really thought about, and it kind of makes it just kind of like, it was a light bulb moment when he said it, and I was like, that makes so much sense to me now. It's because, before the Global Bastard, there wasn't deathmatch in the UK was a thing, but it's very sort of underground, more so kind of thing. It's very low key. But I kind of noticed over the last couple of years, Bleeding Gums, yourself, there's been a few more places pop up, and it's gaining traction. It's becoming like a massive freaking snowball.
Yeah.
I figure out why. I was like, all the respect, it's awesome. I know why, because once people have seen it, they appreciate it, kind of thing. But it was kind of like, how did it get that momentum? And Alton pointed out, during the sort of the lockdown, the only promotions really that were still putting on shows were the deathmatch promotions in America or in other places. So fans could watch stuff, that's all they could watch. And that
pretty much. Yeah, I mean, that's down to the evil money grabbing bastards that are the Federation. they because at the time Linda McMahon was working for Donald Trump, and they made a loophole so that wrestling, because obviously you saw the shows that they did with no fans and stuff like that, and they made wrestling legal in certain states and certain areas of America. So people like GCW and ICW No Holds Barred sort of jumped on that and just started running shows. They did like the deathmatch drive-in show and stuff like that. And then it was literally, like Alton said, at one point it was you either watched deathmatch or you watched WWE with no crowd and it was like a load of monitors. So it was basically the WWE fucked themselves over a bit with that. But mate, I'm not complaining. I've done okay out of it. So.
As soon as they said that kind of made, like I say, it just made all the sense in the world. I was like, okay, that's cool. Firstly, as well, first thing I want to kind of mention is just a massive pat on your back. Just when you're naming a promotion, that's really, that'd be like half a battle. If you're starting a business, you're starting something, you want to get eyes on the prize, mate. The name's got to pop. The name's got to pull people. Obviously, from a fan's perspective, there's a shitload of promotions in the UK. I generally get put on for a promotion because of the talent that's on there or somebody word of mouth. I see promotion Kumite. I don't give a monkey's who's on that show. I don't need to know the talent that's on that show straight away. I've just heard that name and dude, you've got me. I'm like, right, cool.
That's it. Yeah, we're just massive like blood sport marks, really. Just fucking love it. So that's literally where it comes from. We were watching Bloodsport when we were coming up for it, when we were thinking about it, and we were watching Bloodsport a lot at the time. And it was just one of the things that I had it on a bit of paper, like we need to call something Kumite at some point, and it turned out to be Kumite Combat Wrestling. We didn't want to call it Championship Wrestling at first, so it's just like fight, wrestle. Fight.
That's it. I was just like straight away. I didn't need to know who was on the show. I didn't need to be told about it. As soon as I saw the name, I was like, yes. like I say, I'm just, I love that film. I've got that. I must, I can't even tell you how many times I've watched it and everything like that. So, and I think for a majority of people as well, that was the hook. So, that is marketing 101. Absolutely leveled up, completed it, mate.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things. We tend to do things like that. It's just like if you don't know what it is, it doesn't really matter. But if you know what it is, people are really into it, and they get the references that we're making. So that's like, we get a lot of people come to t-shirts in like Canon Group t-shirts. Sorry, come to shows in Canon Group t-shirts and stuff like that, like Van Damme t-shirts, and they all get it. So yeah, it's just it's the same we do. We've actually did these new stickers. It's they're done with a logo, like Marmite logo, because some people call it Kumite. So I just thought it was pretty funny to have some Kumite stickers made. But again, it works on a level if you know that people calling it Kumite, or you can't, if you pronouncing it as Kumite, it works on two levels really. It's more of an onion than a sticker.
I popped that. Oh, it's a layer with many stickers. It's a sticker with many layers. But yeah, I'm just waiting for somebody to hit somebody with a brick, and it'd be like, oh, the brick does hit back.
Yeah. No, which one? No. Yeah.
So, but I mean, obviously, like we talked about it before. You guys kind of made your debut. 2021. Started off with like we sort of said. I wanted to double check before I brought this up to make sure I was reading it right. Yeah, you had like that one match in Pop World. You kind of set the bar, put the feelers out. I joked about it off camera, but that must have been surreal. And I can't imagine death in Pop World.
I mean, that match is available for free on our YouTube channel if you want to watch it, and it was fucking nuts. They didn't. I mean, we told them what was going on beforehand. We'd been and we booked it, and we just like, the guy was like, "Yeah, that's fine." And I was like, "Well, we're gonna do like deathmatch. We don't use a ring." He's like, "Yeah, that's fine." We're like, "We're gonna use glass." He's like, "Yeah." It just kept saying everything was fine, and then we did the match. We had another match on as well, a comedy match between Johnny Concrete and Flex Buffington. And we had a band, I don't know if you're aware of a band called Bone Cult. We had those guys on as well. So it was like comedy match, Bone Cult, and then three-way no-ring death match for the first match we ever did. The manager, as soon as we started, the first sort of like stunt, if you like, was Darko and Joe just started thrashing Alton with kendo sticks, and the manager turned around to our medic, and he was like, "What the fuck is this?" And she was like, "Are you joking? We've literally only just started." And then by the end of it, they were just like pushing each other around in shopping trolleys into the bar, and just like glass exploding all over the place. But yeah, it was mad. Joe had already had a match, so he actually had two death matches in the same day. He had a match with Clint Margera in Liverpool. And basically during that match took the top of his knee off when he put Clint through a table, and just skimmed the top off it with a bit of glass. Then he drove from Liverpool to Derby in about an hour and a half, and then basically straight out the car into Pop World. He turned up in his pants covered in blood, with a machete around his neck. He'd parked in the wrong place and had been wandering around Derby in his pants with a knife in his hand. And literally as soon as we finished, they just pushed us out the back door. They were like, "Fuck off." Never. But yeah, that was the beginning, really. Come in kicking and screaming. And then we did another no ring show, which was possibly even more dangerous, because that was just in a little pub that we happened to just ask someone, and they were like, "Yeah, do it in here." And that one was mad as well. And that was Cold November Pain. That was on that's on our IWTV channel. We even had a coffin match at that show.
Dude, I just go back to that pop. I can just imagine you guys being banned, from Pop World now. I can just imagine your pictures behind the bar or something, be like, "Do not let these gentlemen back in," kind of thing.
Well, funnily enough, we were shooting our first DVD last year, and we basically snuck in and did a little like piece to camera in the back room without telling them. And as we were leaving, the hooks, they were like, "Those just fucking guys from the wrestling." But I think they're all right now. They've started putting like family wrestling on there now, so I think that's a bit more their style. But yeah, it makes a good story. So that's the main thing.
But I mean, we're talking about the beginnings and stuff. Obviously, Vine Bar, man, that's iconic now. I see so many sort of reels. Thanks to Jeebus, I'm just going to shout out Jeebus. I'll see his reels when he comes to Kumite. And dude, straight away, I don't even need to look at the captions. I don't need to read the description. I just see the picture, and I'm like, bang, it's a Kumite reel. Awesome hit play. It's just mental.
It is. It's like we all say it's possibly the best backdrop in British wrestling, and I've seen a lot of like American fans talking about it and how they love it as well. Because it took like when we have guys over from America, they think it's crazy because they think everyone lives in Castles or Coronation Street. So, so it is like being in Coronation Street in the middle of that beer garden, and it just gets so hot, and the atmosphere in there is great. It's just this own weird little. It's just like, again, we didn't realize it'd be as popular as it has been, but it's that you can even download the Vines Bar Beer Garden Arena on the WWE game.
No.
And you can play it at Vines. But yeah, it's mad, and they let us do whatever we like within reason. They know we're not going to burn the place down. They're friends of Fletch, the other guy that runs the company, and he's known him for years. But yeah, it's great in there. It's just, if you ever get a chance to come, it's try and do it, because obviously the Vines Bar shows are outside, and we do food, and we have loads of merch, and we try and make it feel like a bit. It's like a sort of festival setting, you know what I mean? A smell of fried onions. You can't beat it. But yeah, it's just a really good atmosphere. It's great. We've since started doing it at a different venue now as well. We work at Hairy Dog indoors, which is great, and it looks different, totally different, and cool. But yeah, I don't think you can beat, like you say, the aesthetics of the Vines Bar, because nobody else there's nowhere else that looks like that. And especially, like I say, with Americans seeing that, they think it looks nuts.
Yeah, I was going to mention that because obviously when I was speaking to Walton, he kind of mentioned, because obviously it was coming up, about like Rise going over to America and, sort of being sort of noticed stateside. But I was also saying, I know you guys have been as well, because, looking at the comments and stuff like that, and like I said, the backdrop. But again, it's just, you guys pop. There's something very visual about it, which I think, like you sort of said, it gets their attention. So I'm not saying anything's in the motion at the minute kind of thing, but I think it'd be awesome, if you guys kind of like, did a bit of here to there kind of thing. I could see Kumite going over there, and maybe something stateside coming over here. You guys running like a code or something.
Well, we are talking to some people about some bits and bobs at the minute. We've had a couple of guys over from. I mean, this is the thing with the deathmatch world is so small. And we're basically all the same. It's all the same people that work on a lot of the shows. It's all the same fans that come, and that's even sort of on an international level. So, like our first show at Vines Bar, we had Alex Cologne, which is mad. Having Alex Cologne, like possibly one of the world's most famous deathmatch wrestlers, like hands down, just on a Sunday afternoon in Derby. But it's just nuts. But I love it. It's good, but it's just it's a very small sort of community, but it's just fucking great. It's the fans love it, people love working it, and I've completely forgotten what you asked me.
No, it's just all about, like you sort of said, the collab, like you sort of said, you had somebody come over,
yes, of course, that was it,
kind of thing. But I think there's a massive audience stateside for you guys to tap into. I think the potential's there.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, Lou is our world champion at the moment. He was the first person to take that's what is the world champion, because he took that belt to America, and that's been on loads of shows when he was over there for WrestleMania and stuff. So, yeah, that's it. It's just been pretty cool. He's also the Rust Belt champion, deathmatch champion for RPW. So he's actually, his first defense of that belt was on our second show this year. So yeah, so we are trying to do things, bits and bobs, and spreading out there wherever we can, really. And obviously,
Oh, sorry.
We've had it, sorry, mate. Yeah, but obviously, like Joe and Clint, Darko and Lou, they've been going over to America quite a lot in the past couple of years, really, and like been through Joe, particularly going. Well, Clint went first, then Joe, and Joe at one point was there like pretty much every weekend, which is he's Joe's a machine. I've never known anybody like Joe. Literally, I was speaking to him one show. He was in like California, and I didn't hear from him until that evening. And then he sent me a picture. He was at his office. He'd gone to work, so he'd gone straight from America. So he's basically gone from work to America, had a match, and then come back and gone straight back to work again. It's absolutely mad. But the good thing is, obviously, with those guys going over, flying the flag for British Deathmatch, it's great seeing those guys over. But it'd be good to get like Alton Thorne, Antonio Gonzalez, and Tomby, and Harley Harris and the likes of Blue She over there at some point if we can. But yes, you never know what may happen in the future. We'll have to just keep an eye on what we're doing.
I want to see Hellbound stateside. I want to see them sort of raiding home. Little Joey going to America. You can just imagine it. It'd be like,
yeah, that'd be great. He's another guy as well. Like he, obviously, when you're putting on these shows and you bring somebody new in, he made his debut at Kumite at the last show, which was KCW Beef, which is going on IWTV at any moment now, at some point this week, I think. But yeah, the reaction Joey got when he turned up was just amazing. So it was like, right, you're in.
He's 18 now. They're like, yeah, that's it. Come on.
Yeah.
I'm guessing you have to wait till he was 18 to like bring him in. I'm gonna guess.
That's the thing. Yeah, we've known him for years, but like we've known him since he was about 15. And we obviously can't be chucking him through windows and stuff like that when he's a child.
That's it though. It's like a rite of passage. Right, you're 18. Bang, straight through that glass. Like true.
Yeah.
I
don't go that far.
That's the thing as well. That sort of like that's not just obviously. I'm not want to paint. That's just what Kumite is, kind of thing. I was looking through, some of the previous matches. The talent you've had on, kind of thing. Obviously, another time you came up was when I had Jason Joshua on, and he was on about, you allowed him like a dream match kind of thing. You kind of sort of said, you booked him. If I remember correctly, you didn't know who was going to be up against at first. And then obviously found out it was Priscilla. So, I mean, we've had Jason Joshua, Big Daddy Unicorn versus Priscilla, Queen of the Ring at Kumite. Yeah. That's just like, yes.
Well, that's it. It's the same as everything. It's the old adage that a lot of people say. Obviously, we are primarily a deathmatch company, but we're more of an over 18s company, but that specializes in death matches. You can't put on a show unless it's a tournament or something like that. In my opinion, you can't just put on a show where it's like 8 death matches for no reason, because it just gets boring, for want of a better word. It's so you've got to mix it up a bit, because it can't just be otherwise it's just like a fucking washing machine of just noise, just the same all the way through. So and you just mix it up. And the first show we did at Vines, basically the first half was was actually a distraction in case the police turned up, so that we could get away with doing the second half. We actually did 2 shows. So the first half was run by Future, who is sort of like a family friendly sister company that's run by Carl Kingsley, and they sort of operate locally as well. So what we did was we booked a load of Future matches for the first half of the show, and then did the Kumite and pretended we didn't know what it was and stuff. But then it's sort of like that sort of kicked off, and then people enjoy people like Jason Joshua, and like I say, it can't be deathmatch all the time, but it can still be over 18s, or it can still be fun. So yeah, just introducing different people into it, and like you say, stuff like the match with Priscilla was great. You never. I mean, some of the surprises that we've had, just people like Priscilla was a surprise, for example. Yeah, it's just good dropping surprises on people, because you literally don't know who's going to turn up. And we've had like unadvertised matches with people like one match in particular. We had like LJ Heron versus Will Cruz. So two, like I've known Will for years. We worked together for a long time, and LJ's like an East Midlands legend, and that's just because they're our mates. You know what I mean? And that's sort of like how we like to do it. It's everyone that I've sort of met throughout working elsewhere, because I don't work for any other wrestling company anymore. But it's basically everyone that I've met over the years, in all different types of wrestling, and bringing them together, but bringing them where I can do it here, because I'm in not health wise, I'm not in a position where I can travel anymore. But I used to at one point. I was wrestling every weekend. I started locally with a company called Hope, and then did a few bits and bobs with like House of Pain, and then went on from there to Fight Factory. And then from Fight Factory, I went to BWR, and then BWR to Rise, and then I was at Rise for about a year, and then that would have been before COVID, and then here we are now. So it's like people that I've met at Rise and BWR at the deathmatch side of things, but putting them together with people like Jason Joshua and Carl Kingsley and friends of mine that I've met elsewhere, and just putting them in the mix and just see what happens. Do you know what I mean? It's just put them in the mix. I like everyone. It's like everyone's got 15 minutes to get all your shit in. You know what I mean?
It's perfect though. It works. It works so well because, like you sort of said, it keeps people guessing. Like you sort of said, you can't have the same thing over 8 matches. It's just become like you'll end up being like something like from Clockwork Orange, where you just sat there like, it makes no sense to me anymore. It's all a blur. But yeah, you mix it up, you keep it interesting. Again, I'm presuming I'm going to go out on a limb here and say old school ECW fan.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. Yeah.
ECW, Extreme, Sabu, blah blah blah. But it's not just those guys. It was your Malenko. Oh wow, dude.
Oh, Rob Van Dam and your Cactus Jack. Cactus Jackaro.
Oh, I love it. But yeah, guys like Malenko, Guerrero, Benoit, Pillman, those guys are anonymous. Lionheart, Lionheart, Jericho.
Hardcore one of my favorites.
Are very appreciative of just very good technical wrestling as well.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, that's what I say, and that's a prime example. I mean, we've had ECW is a prime example of showing that it doesn't have to be weapon based to be extreme. We've had matches before with Franco Fate and Lou Nixon, and those guys just batter the shit out of each other. We had Gary J and Alton Thorne, and that one, like, Gary J kicked Alton so hard in the face that his forehead bled, and that was but there was no weapons in that match. And then when we did like the Franco Fate Lou Nixon, they're obviously, we're all sort of big fans of ECW, and they're like, is it okay if we do basically Mike Awesome and Tanaka? And I was like, fucking yeah, do the whole lot. We did basically what they do. So it's that same sort of adage. It doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be light tube, door, just to be extreme. So yeah, and people appreciate the hard hitting and the hard hitting strong style, because like you say, it's with the people like Malenko and things like that. Chris Benoit, they're not particularly seen as like extreme wrestlers, but it's just doing this. And you like Eddie Guerrero, like you say, just getting him just doing his shit, doing it really, really well. But yeah, it's all make it into one big show. That's also what we like to do as well with like storylines, which we've sort of introduced like pretty much straight away, was like keep a constant theme flowing throughout the show. So you can just drop in and just watch a show, but the majority of the people that go there, it's always the same people, but they know that a lot of these stories have been going for 3 years now. So yeah, I like putting that sort of that little bit of effort into it. So it's got to be, the death matches they have to be a death match for a reason, really.
Exactly. Why else would you do it? You wouldn't do that to yourself unless there was a valid fucking reason for doing it. You're not going to put yourself through that unless it's for revenge, unless it's for redemption, unless it's to get a belt, unless it's to tell a story. So the magic words, stories.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, one of the best death matches we had last year was Carl Kingsley and Alton Thorne, and it was Carl Kingsley's first death match, but we built that up for like a year, and just had them like going back and forth and back and forth, and people like I don't think he'll do the death match because he hadn't ever done a death match. But if you watch that one back on IWTV, it's fucking incredible, because as soon as like Kingsley gets busted open and he sees his own blood, there's only one way. You can go one or two ways with this. It's a hard thing to explain, getting glassed, until you don't know what it's like until you can do it. And as soon as you see your own blood, you either panic or I mean, now I'm so desensitized to it, it's mad. But it's but yeah, Harley Harris hits him with a light tube, and like it's perfect, and it just splits his head, and he's just like, then he turns into Kingsley the deathmatch wrestler. Do you know what I mean? And then everybody's on his side then, and well, not on his side, but they respect him because they've seen him be a shitbag for a year. And now he's got himself into the situation where he is with Alton Thorne, and he's got to fight basically, so he's got to do it. And then it's just as soon as he starts bleeding, that match, and it's one of the best matches we've ever done. And again, but that's a bit different. That's putting someone who isn't in a death match, isn't necessarily from a death match sort of background, into a death match, which is something that we never really do. But obviously, Carl Kingsley is one of our best friends. He's been wrestling. We sort of started around the same time. Same with Alton Thorne, so you knew he's in safe hands. But again, he was just like, he wanted to try it, and then afterwards, just like, I reckon I could do that again.
Got a taste for it now. It's like, okay.
Yeah.
He popped his cherry. That's it. He's away.
That's it. And he's actually back. He retired, but he's actually back with another guy who retired. Who's back? The locally sourced beef, Rourke, has joined forces with Carl Kingsley, and they've become the team of Heft. and they're actually taking on Jason Joshua and Joe Cardinal at the next show, and they newly formed Queer and Loathing.
I shared that on Twitter. I got all the matches and made a little video and put it on Twitter earlier. So yeah, I was going to bring that up at some point, the next show. But as we're talking about it, that match looks awesome. But dude, you've got that. The next show looks stacked, and some of the matches, obviously, Joey's there with Colin. I looked at all the matches. He's teaming up with Harley, is he not?
He is, yeah. Joey and Harley are going against Luke Douglas and Alfie. So that'll be. I mean, those two, Alfie and Harley, have been fighting each other for years, and we just decided to carry it on because they're just so good at it, and they both fucking love it. So just let them do it. Yeah.
That's look. I mean, obviously, you saw the Alfie episode, and she sort of says, I think both of them will admit, they bring out the best in each other, kind of thing. They both keep leveling up every time they get in the ring because they want to outdo the other one, and the other one wants to outdo them. And yeah, you keep those two going at it. Throw Joey in the mix, dude. That's going to make for a.
Yeah, that's it. And obviously, Harley started, and Alfie as well. They basically started doing the hardcore stuff together at the same time at Kumite as well, but like bit by bit. And they're sort of, like I say, it can't be the same level of violence for the entire show, but they're sort of like the starter, if you like.
Alfie going on a bloody breaking her arm during one match. That girl's pretty hardcore. That goes without saying. So
yeah. She is. Yeah. But yeah, we've got some mad matches at the next show.
I'm just waiting to see Joey. I just want to see. He's again, like you said about Kingsley. When he gets busted open, I can imagine Joey just going one way or the other. If anything happens to him and he gets a bit of blood, I'm just waiting to see Joey go full mental or just sit in the corner rocking. I don't know which way it's going to go.
Yeah, well, we'll see. But like I say, it is a stacked card. This is our 3rd anniversary of this show, so it's we've basically got all the regulars on there, all the regulars in there doing their stuff, which is great.
Dude, it's just I'm trying to remember the matches on there. Obviously, I know you've got like sort of said you've got all the regulars on there. Obviously, I know Lou's on there, Franco, Alton, I say Harley, David Grant. It's just that's how stacked it is. I can't actually remember each match, and I looked at them literally an hour ago and did that video an hour ago. Just
I've actually handily written them down just in case. But we've got Tomby versus Alton Thorne, and that's a #1 contendership for the Death Wolf. The Death Wolf is our deathmatch title, which is actually here in the office right now.
Nice. That's a nice belt, man.
Yeah, so that's yeah, I've just been retaping the back of it. It's covered in everyone's blood, like genuinely everyone's blood is all over it. So yeah, number one contender match between Tomby and Alton Thorne. Two of our guys we call the first handful of people. Well, not the first handful because we've had more than that. But a group of people, the Kumite originals. But Alton Thorne and Tomby are definitely up there. I mean, Alton Thorne's been on every single show. Tomby's been on pretty much all of them, apart from like one or two. And they've just been having consistently good matches all year. And it's come to the inevitable now, where it's between whoever wins at this match goes on to face the whoever is the Death Wolf at the end of the year, the last show of the year. So that's pretty high stakes. We've got Big Joe versus Franco Fate. That's just beef. They both asked for that match. Joe was like, "Can I fight Franco?" Yeah, get it on. But yeah, and we've got the world title match is Lou Nixon defending against Antonio Gonzalez. Antonio Gonzalez again. He's one of the monsters that we created. Blue She versus Brett Santex. B.A. Rose versus Jack Bennett. Queer and Loathing versus Heft. And we also have, which we haven't announced yet, Darko is fighting Clint Margera. Yeah, and there's another match in there as well that we'll have as sort of like as a pre-show match as well.
Mate, that's going to be obviously, you know, we've mentioned certain names previously. Just want to acknowledge the mention of B.A. Rose, because that guy is generally, everybody else knows how amazing they are. I pick them up all the time. I just want to acknowledge B.A. Rose as well, because I think that guy is absolutely top notch, next level.
Yeah, BA, he's incredible. He's incredible. He's someone that we wanted to work with. We brought him in for his first match with Alton Thorne. They've had two matches, but his first match with Alton Thorne, the first match he had, was incredible. So then we've had him back. He's been pretty much on every show this year. I think he is, but he's just doing so well at the moment. He's been doing it just as long as like the Deathmatch Outlaws guys and stuff like that, and been on a lot of the same sort of shows. I remember working a show with him, and he had a no-ring match with Lou, and that was probably about 6-7 years ago now. I'm thinking about it, but yeah, he's great. He's an absolute credit as well to PPW, it's where he's from, isn't it? Super, yeah.
Around there now. I don't want to say originally, but I know he's around there a lot nowadays.
Yeah. But yeah, he's a great guy. He's a great guy. He loves it. His ideas are really good. What we like to do with people is we sort of like we have a sort of set idea, but we sort of let people flow with what they want to do, and that's the best way to do it. And BA's just his promos, his videos, because he doesn't necessarily do promos because he doesn't really talk, but his videos are amazing, and that's sort of like you were saying earlier on about clips, things like that. They get sent around. I don't know if you saw that Alton Thorne did like a 5-minute it's like a 5-minute promo about B.A. Rose, and then BA's response was just that.
Short and sweet, just like, yeah, no, that's it.
Yeah, that's it. But yeah, he's great. He's great, and it's good to see him getting on places like TNT and stuff like that as well. Now,
in the words of the Macho Man, the cream rises to the top eventually. Cream of the crop. But yeah, that's the thing. I mean, well, obviously, I'm kind of, we're talking Kumite and stuff, but I'd be amiss if I didn't just kind of pick your brain as well. You mentioned, working like Hope, House of Pain, when you were active, in the ring and stuff. So, do you mind if I talk about you for 5 minutes and just like,
No, don't mind if you talk about myself, because that's kind of why I'm here.
Obviously, where you are now, working with Kumite and stuff, it just kind of adds credibility. The fact that you're not just somebody who doesn't know the business trying to run, a promotion. Dude, you've been there. You've done the journey. You've worked with these people. You know what it takes.
Yeah, I mean, I've been like in entertainment since I was about 15. I started in bands, and I was in quite a reasonably well-known punk band for a while. Before I even started wrestling. I didn't start wrestling until I was 36. Um, I'm 46 now, so yeah, which is mad. Yeah, so it's like this will be like my 10th year. So I didn't start until I was 36. But when I did, it's the same old story as Alton Thorne. Really, you don't really know. I love wrestling. I've always loved wrestling, but I never really knew that there would be an opportunity to have a go at it, because it just at that point it was a lot of just like tribute shows and things like that, and there wasn't really much stuff around until it was be the same shows that Alton Thorne was on actually. But Hope started running shows in Derby, where we're based. And my mate Fletch, who I run the company with, he told me about it first. It was like we went down, and I think we saw like there was a show with Sabu. So we went to see the Sabu at like Derby Polish Club, which was mad. And then I didn't even realise that it was, a thing. And then I just sort of ended up chatting to the guy that ran the company, and said, he knew what I used to do with like bandwise and stuff like that, and said I'd like to get interested, like to get started. And he just pointed me in the right direction. Of started. I trained for a few months. I trained for about 6 months. Did all sorts of bits and trained with loads of different people before I'd even started doing anything, and then started working for Hope. And I went from being a villain manager. Fully enough, I was managing Alton Thorne. That's how we met. And it was, I don't know if he said it, but it's like possibly the worst match that both of us have ever had. It culminated me getting punched in the face by a WWE superstar. But yeah, it was. So I did that for a while, but he just basically said because of how I am, I'm more adapt to sort of hosting, and so I became the ring announcer and the commentator. So I'd sort of do one or the other, and a lot of the time I was doing double duty, which was fine. But I did that for years. I was doing that's mainly like Nottingham based sort of Mansfield sort of cities, little villages sort of in between Nottingham and Derby and stuff like that. And then through those guys, I started working for Fight Factory, which is in Lincoln. And that was because I met Dutch, and they used to do the ring hire, and they started running over 18 shows. So they got me up there to do host their over 18 shows. And then when I was there, I met Tyler Devlin, who at the time was running BWR. So they asked me to go and do their over 18 shows. And then while I was there, they started a feud with Rise. So I got to basically be a villain manager again, but it was doing stuff like managing Will Cruz and Tyler Devlin, and like Scotty Rourke. So basically, anytime that anyone from BWR went to Rise, I was the manager, and then that's sort of like that's where this all sort of started, really. But doing the character work at Rise, getting fans fucking hated me, but in a good way, chucking drinks at me and everything, and it was just amazing. But then that basically takes us up to sort of like lockdown, and then just before lockdown, I basically had a nervous breakdown. Just before lockdown, I got quite ill, so that's why I couldn't. That's why I can't travel anywhere. So that's why I had the idea of just bringing people like Joe and Darko and Lou over here to meet up with, start wrestling with the guys from Derby and Nottingham. And it's easier for me. I can only do a few shows a year, and I get to do it with my friends, which is the main thing, really. I do get very stressed about it, but it's pointless being stressed, because one, we put ourselves in this position, so you can't go like, look at me, don't look at me. So you've just sort of got to take it. I mean, I get quite a lot of sort of like imposter syndrome about it all, because I just find it's quite difficult to deal the day after a show. I'm used to it now, but it's like the first shows that we were doing at like Vine Spot, and when we were getting like some of the clips going viral and stuff like that. It's insane the amount of like literally thousands of notifications, and it's just people that you used to watch on TV like commenting on your stunts that you've coordinated and stuff, and it just blows my mind a bit. So yeah, but then that's just me being mental.
Yeah, no imposter syndrome, just a good old pat on the back, because it's funny. Just they wouldn't be acknowledging it if it wasn't any good. So I know what you're saying though. You're kind of like it's a second guessing, but you're not going to hear it when I say it. But it's fully deserved. It's awesome. You've done a really good job. So if people say it often enough, it'll sink in at some point. I'm exactly.
Yeah. I mean, we've been really lucky, and we haven't really taken that for granted. We haven't turned into cunts, I think, is the main thing. Because, like I say, from being in bands and stuff like that for years, and also when before I started working at wrestling, I used to work in stage management and stuff like that. So I've always sort of been around sort of theatre and things. So again, I've forgotten what you asked me.
There was no real question. It was just getting some background.
This is a problem. I used to get hit in the head a lot.
It's perfectly fine. I do want to touch upon the band thing though, because I've spoken to a few. But I think obviously Franco was one of the guys. I think he was in a band prior to wrestling. I know I've spoken to Isaac North. It was the same sort of thing. And it always kind of makes me smile when people have gone from being like in a band to being involved in wrestling, whether it be, as a manager or in the ring, or just going to doing something where everybody's looking at you, all eyes are on you kind of thing. Because I just kind of think you're so used to it being in the band, it's not that big of a job.
Yeah, I mean that's true. I mean that's how I've sort of like how I managed to sort of adapt to it, is because I'm just so used to performing. I'm fucking shameless though, to be honest. But it's again, I've forgotten. I'm so hot in this room. I just realised how fucking hot it is.
It's not a comparison. It's just a comparison to being on stage in a band, to being in front of.
Sorry.
For a lot of people, dude. For a lot of people, it would be daunting as fuck. Stepping out of those curtains and having 200, 400 eyes on you, kind of thing. For you guys, it's kind of like, business as usual.
Well, the thing is, they don't those people aren't interested in nervous, anxious Matt. They've come to see the death match with Malachi hosting it. They couldn't give a shit about my personal life in the nicest possible way, and that's what it's about. Because you come into Kumite to forget what's going on for 3 hours and enjoy yourself. So no one's going to be. I can't be reflecting my real life on these people. Do you know what I mean? It's the band thing, particularly for me, because I come from like a very sort of and Kumite is like 100% punk. We do everything ourselves. I was in a band that we did a couple of Peel sessions back in the day. That's how old I am. So and from doing that sort of that punk side of things and keeping it how everything we used to do everything ourselves with everything with that. When I got a little bit disillusioned with wrestling, and we're mainly doing family shows, but it was when I started working at Rise that I saw that these people had the same sort of attitude that I had when I was in a band like 20 years ago, and that's what made me want to carry on doing it. Do you know what I mean? It's just Rise and Kumite are very, very similar, but they're totally different. But if you've never experienced it until you've actually been there, do you know what I mean? They're very, very similar, but they're their own different animal. And again, you can't really sort of plan that or pay for that sort of shit. It's just there's a realness to Kumite and Rise that is you can't fake it, I think. I mean, there are other people doing it. We've got like Bleeding Gums now as well. Andy's doing incredibly well in Scotland. I mean, the lineup for his next show is fucking nuts. It's got Matt Tremont fighting Alton Thorne and Iceman on over the weekend. So, but people can tell. It's like going back to like you're saying about the fans just liking good wrestling in general. They can tell what's shit and what's not. So, and they will tell you
Very loudly.
Yeah, they will. So that's it. Just carry on. Just listen to what people are saying. Don't be a knob. I think that's the it's advice for anything, really, isn't it?
It's a good life lesson. Yeah, like you said, you can't sort of like say Kumite, Bleeding Gums, as you mentioned, and Rise. Yeah, to the naysayer or to people on the outside, they're just like, oh, it's 3 deathmatch companies. But to the people, to the fans, to the people that know what you guys do, they're all 3 are very different, which is an accomplishment, because it'd be very easy to be sort of very samey. But all 3 of you, very unique sort of taste, a very unique brand. And that speaks volumes for everybody involved.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. It's like we're all very similar, but we're all totally different. It's I mean, Rise, obviously, they've been going for 10 years now, which is mad. At one point, it was basically just them doing death matches in this country. And if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't be doing it, because if I hadn't worked there and met everyone, I literally wouldn't be having this conversation now. But it's great. It's all about the vibe, like I said as well, about the live show. And with deathmatch being such a small thing as it is in this country, because you basically got us, Rise, TNT, and that was it until Bleeding Gums came around this year. But like I say, Bleeding Gums, they're sort of quite tournament based, so they have a lot of death matches, but everyone's different on the show. But it's not, a lot of sort of like crazy weapons and stuff like that. Rise is just nuts. Like, you literally don't know what's going to happen at Rise, which is good, and which is kind of the same thing with Kumite. But yeah, it's just like there's something about being in the crowd at those 2 shows. I've never actually been to Bleeding Gums, so I can't actually comment on it. But obviously, I used to work at Rise, and I run Kumite now. So it's it's all about the vibe, and that's what, like I say, that's why it's so similar with bands, and that sort of my sort of demeanor when I was performing in bands was quite deliberately obnoxious. So it sort of, again, it goes into that having no shame and just wanting to entertain, really.
Dude, which in fairness, as a fan, that's all we ask. You're ticking them boxes. We're going to keep coming back. We're going to keep watching. We keep going to buy merch and just doing what we need to do to make sure you guys keep doing what you do, kind of thing. I see. I mean, Owen asked me an interesting question when I was talking to him about, because we sort of said, deathmatch now is, the momentum's building, it's getting so much traction, it's getting so much credibility as well. People have got a lot more time for it, and they're taking it a lot more seriously. And I can't remember exactly how it was worded, but when I was speaking to Alton, he asked me why I thought that was. And I was kind of like, because I think, I don't know, 10, 20 years ago, again, I'm not besmirching anyone. This is just my take on it. I think a lot of people saw deathmatch wrestlers as just deathmatch wrestlers. That's all they did, kind of thing. That's they may not even be trained wrestlers. They might just be backyard wrestlers, kind of thing, to be cliched. But a lot of the guys in the deathmatch scene now, the top tier guys, across the card, I know as a fan, they can do deathmatches. They can do family shows. They can do like Who Grits or Your Titles, kind of thing. They can do Versus or Your Rev Pros. They don't just do death matches. They do death matches because they want to do death matches, not because they have to. They do it because they want to, because they love to.
I mean, like you say, the majority of the people that work with us, we've all sort of been doing it around the same sort of time, sort of within the sort of region of sort of 10 to 8 years sort of thing. And none of us started out as death with this in. Obviously, you start out with this in mind, but you never think you're ever going to actually be able to do it. Do you know what I mean? But and again, it just seems inaccessible. So you're just doing the other stuff. And it's like you say, Joe, Lou, Alton Thorne, and Darko, all incredible wrestlers. Not one of them started as a deathmatch wrestler. And it's adding another string to your bow. You can't be there are still a lot of. There's a lot of shit out there still. Not here, not in this country, thank God, really. But there is still a lot of shit about, untrained people and whatnot. But those people who that aren't trained just end up looking untrained when they're put in a ring, for example, because some people can't even run the fucking ropes, which is uh, appalling. So you've got to have it's the same as anything. You've got to learn to walk before you can run. You've got to learn everything before you can start fucking about and like decide what you want to do. There used to be a thing in wrestling. It's quite odd. It's just popped back into my head that you basically couldn't do what you want for 7 years. You have to go and do what everybody else tells you to do for 7 years, and then it gets to the point where you can then go, right, well, I'll go and do death matches, or I'll go, or whatever. Like some people didn't even get to pick their own fucking name and stuff like that. But yeah, so obviously it's changed a bit now. But a lot of the only person, well, there's sort of like a few exceptions to the rule, really. Lou Nixon hasn't been like he started wrestling about 6 years. Well, I saw him at Rise, met him at Rise. Not that long, but he got quite into the deathmatch scene quite quickly. Same with Brett Semtex, but those guys are just fucking animals. They're just combat sportsmen. That's what they are. They're boxers, MMA fighters, and wrestlers as well. So they can literally just do anything they like. So it's just fucking great.
That's it. If anybody, I was going to mention obviously Brett at some point as well, because he kind of like, from what I've seen like numerous matches of his kind of thing, and he kind of takes me back to like the old school ECW sort of thing where it doesn't have to be fucking tubes, doors, chairs, blah blah blah. You get a guy throwing a good. He's just basically like Taz from ECW kind of thing.
Yeah, he'll love that you said that as well. But yeah, that's the point. He's like a genuine athlete. It's not like they've just like he's only been wrestling for 2 years, because he has. But he's a professional MMA fighter outside of that. So it's all sort of interchangeable skills at the end of the day. And the only other person, like Jack Bennett, he's only been wrestling for about 2 years, but Jack has done it he hasn't just gone from like training to just like fight, just jumping through a window in a fucking garden. He's he decided that he wanted to do this and basically took himself to Japan and just did it in all the best places. Like he's back and forth to Japan, and like he speaks Japanese. He's got, do you know what I mean? He's gone in straight. He just went straight in the fucking, I'm going to Japan. That's it. And then he's doing what he's doing now, which is mad.
Like you sort of said, that's a lot of people's goals. They're like, right, okay, we'll test the water, we'll do this, and then we'll do this for a couple of years. Hopefully I get to go to Japan at some point.
Yeah.
My man's like, no, like, fuck it. Day one, I'm off to Japan. I'm doing this like seriously from day one.
So yeah, he went straight in and started doing no ring shows in Japan with like Drew Parker and stuff like that, which was amazing. And he come back, and he's been back a few times, and obviously he's like headlined some of our shows. He's fighting B.A. Rose at this one. But yeah, it's good. It's nice having new people. I mean, he's not really new to us anymore, but it's like it's the new every season we get a new lot of people, which I really like. And it's just good seeing them do well. I enjoy seeing people that I love do well, and that's the main thing.
That's as it should be, kind of thing. I think that's that seems to be a thing, an ongoing theme from everybody that I've spoken to. I always mention this because I just think it's nice to be nice. It just shows a bit of positivity, kind of thing. But British wrestling now compared to pre-Global Bastard, everybody seems really supportive of each other. But it seems a lot, obviously not 100%, but a larger percentage of people now seem to be a lot more supportive and willing to help other people, or just knowing people get stronger by and helping each other, kind of thing.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that's just like you say, since like lockdown and stuff like that, you sort of it puts everything into perspective, especially as a performer, because basically over COVID we were just fucked. We can't, like, before COVID I was working wrestling and I was a stage manager at festivals, so that's my livelihood gone. Do you know what I mean? So it's, after that, it makes you appreciate it, entertainment, and obviously, like I said, a lot of us are friends, genuinely friends at Kumite. The deathmatch scene in particular, I think, I don't know whether it's because we do such dangerous things. We're all very close, just close friends, because you've got to be close with people that you're doing ludicrous stunts with. You've got to trust them.
That's the word, trust. That's it, and that's why I think when I've spoken. I think Tim Strange on. I think Tim's shout out, literally like 10 people from what he called the deathmatch family kind of thing. Just sort of saying, as close as other wrestlers are, guys in that circle have to just be that little bit closer, because it just takes that little bit more trust to do that to each other kind of thing.
Yeah, and you've got to remember as well that we do get a lot of people telling us that what we do is a load of shit, like a lot of the time, because like you say, they think that we're just fucking, fat dudes glassing each other in a beer garden. I mean, that does happen. But you know what I mean? There's a bit more to it than that.
You skillful, you do it with skill. It's not.
Yeah.
So, but that's it. And I think, and I love that camaraderie kind of thing. I just, I just like people, when people just are that close, when you've got that kind of network, you've got that unit of people around you. So just big each other up, support each other, just kind of get each other's back as well.
Yeah, I mean, especially because there's only sort of 4 companies that are doing this in England and Scotland, so there's no point. What would be the point in sort of going into competition with the other people? Do you know what I mean? Because it's literally the same fans and it's the same staff for most of them. So there's no point treading on each other's toes. So we deliberately don't book on the same days, because it would make no sense to have Rise. And the only time that we have, when we had TNT and Kumite, which was on the first show we ever did, we did it on the same show. We did it on the Joe was on both of the shows anyway. So yeah, and if that ever has been a situation where we've had like Joe doing double duty or someone doing double duty at a different company, we'll liaise with them to make it better for them, so because TNT, they did that for us at our first show. Later on, when we had Joe versus Darko, Joe was doing another show in the afternoon, in the evening of that, so they asked if we could do that match first, and we said sure, because they'd obviously done it for us in the past. So it's just how it worked. Like you say, just be nice, don't be a knob.
Another life lesson. That's it. This episode's just full of life lessons at the minute as well. Like, don't be a cunt, be nice, help each other out. It all works well together. But that's the thing. I mean, obviously, go for you've mentioned, the next show. It's kind of like, like say your anniversary show, your 3rd anniversary, obviously 21 to 24. What's that? That takes us to August. You guys run shows every sort of 2-3 months.
We've got 2 shows. We've got August and we've got one in October, at the end of October, and then we're done. Then we're done for this year, and then we'll be. We won't be done. As far as everybody else is concerned, we're not done at all, because we've done a couple of DVDs. We're currently making another documentary making it along with all the other stuff we're filming this year. So basically, and also because we produce the TV shows ourselves, Fletcher does that. So while I'm doing stuff like this, setting all this, the next one in motion, he's editing and finishing the TV show from the last one. But obviously it takes us a couple of weeks, and that is because we do it all ourselves. And, if you want to watch it, get a ticket and come to it anyway. That's the best way to see it. But yeah, it's, that goes back into the DIY thing. It takes a little longer, but we've got full control over what it is that we do. Sort of like I'm more focused on the live side, and he's the recording side,
And it feels genuine as well, I mean, if it's you guys doing it, doing the handiwork, doing the editing, cutting it, just doing this, that, and the other, putting the music over it and all that kind of sort of stuff. Yeah. It's 100% Kumite. You're not outsourced it to somebody just to be like, right, okay, make this look pretty, and it come back.
We've done it all ourselves. I mean, we taught ourselves. We had to. I mean, learn how to edit. We didn't know how to do that 3 years ago. So we basically just we've done it all. Fletch does all the editing, and he's come on leaps and bounds in the past couple of years, and that's all just down to finding out how to do it yourself properly. But yeah, it's nice having the control we've got control over all the content. It's our content. But then obviously, if people want, you know, the wrestlers want a copy of the DVD they're on, they can fucking have the DVD. But yeah,
you know, it's yeah, you know, so some places can be funny about not giving them the footage and things like that. That's just never made any sense to me. I know it's like the promotion's footage, but it's also the wrestlers' footage as well. You know, I think it's it's a bit of a weird area. So it's nice to know that you just like, yeah, take it, it's fine, go for it.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, that's I just hope that people would be like that with us, sort of thing. So they generally are, and again, that's because it's the same people working on all the shows. So why would you go into competition against the same people?
You won't want to piss them off, would you? That's the thing. So,
no, I wouldn't want to. I mean, they're all like my mates, but I wouldn't want to fucking piss them off or owe them any money or anything like that.
But like, you know, you're doing all this kind of sort of stuff. You know, again, this is kind of like, I love best. You know, I'm an old school fan. You know, you just mentioned DVDs. Then I was like, oh, DVDs. I didn't know anybody still did DVDs. Kind of thing. You know?
We do VHS tapes as well.
Yes. But you know, I want a best of Alton Thorne DVD, or you know, a best of Lou Nixon from Kumite DVD kind of thing. You know, stuff like that. I think, you know.
That'll all be coming. I mean, because basically what we did with the DVD side of thing, we priced up what it would cost to get the first DVD, first one pressed elsewhere, outsourced. And I basically worked out for the money, I could just get all the stuff in the office. So I just duplicate the DVD. Literally everything's done here. The DVDs are pressed here. They're all individually numbered, hand stamped discs. And we make everything, and I even print the sleeves here. That everything is done in this tiny hot fucking room.
Factory.
Yeah.
Dude.
Yeah,
That's amazing. Right, okay, I'm on that. I didn't actually thought, because I'm so used to like not even bothering to look anymore, kind of thing. You know, I'd sort of check YouTube, I check social medias and things like that. I don't really think to go and look for certain, like, for discs or DVDs anymore. So now that I know, you know, get ready, because you'll have some orders coming in at some point. I'm like, right.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, I mean, I think everyone's doing it. Like Deathmatch Outlaws, they're doing the DVDs for Rise and for Bleeding Gums now as well. So I think you could pretty much get DVDs from everyone now. Deathmatch Outlaws released their shows on Game Boy Advance cartridges as well.
What?
Yeah, the first show was only released on a Game Boy Advance cartridge, and they've just done their second show, and that's currently being ripped. But Danny's the same as us. He'll be sat in a horrible sweaty room, ripping things to dead media. But the thing is, as well, it's like when I was in the band, it was such a chore to try and get people to buy stuff, buy a CD or a T-shirt or anything. But with this, as soon as we release something, it's gone. And I think it's because we do it like handmade, and we only do really like the DVDs. We did just 50 of each one. So the first one, I think I've only got about 5 or 6 of those ones left. But it makes it more of a thing that you need to have, because it's different to. The DVD isn't on YouTube or on IWTV or anything like that. So the only place you can actually see these DVDs is if you buy the DVD. The first one's a documentary with bits and bobs, and then the second one is just the most brutal death matches from 2023 with no comms, just pure footage, and it's fucking brutal. You can hear just people slapping meat. So at the end of the year, we'll be doing our 3rd DVD, but then we'll also be finishing off TV and then starting booking for next year as well. So yeah, I mean, we did our first gig. We started putting on gigs this year as well. Like we put Tomby's in a band called Concussion. They're like ironically head crushing metal. And a band called Feral State, who have been on loads of our TV stuff. So yeah, we've got our fingers in a couple of different pies as well now. So, which is good, but it's just, again, like I complain that it's too much to do, but then we've put ourselves in this position, really. So
Self-inflicted.
Yeah, it's better than being, you know, stressed out about I don't know, something that doesn't fucking matter.
That's it, mate. At least you're doing something. It might be stressful, but when all the pieces fall into place, jobs are good, and at least you've got that satisfaction in it, and be like, you know what, we did that.
Yeah, 100%, 100%.
Oh, dude, I'm just like I say, I'm old school. I'm still giddy at the word saying DVD. It just makes me tingle. DVDs, awesome. I'm so I refuse to accept this. I've got numerous shit on demand, but I don't like it. But,
no, mate. Everything. I'm big into physical media. 100%. That's I'm surrounded by it. Literally. Yeah.
I could reach out. I've got like 100 Blu-rays on the shelf next to me here, kind of thing. 1,000 DVDs somewhere else in the loft because I can't keep them in the living room anymore. But yeah,
I've got a stack here that I put in the office. I've been watching every single Police Academy movie.
Bloody hell.
Yeah, there's literally all the Police Academy here. Wonder Woman, Godzilla films. I'm a big kaiju fan of like Japanese cinema, so I've got a load of like Godzilla films, Ghostbusters, and Dick Tracy, and Nightmare on Elm Street box set as well.
The one with Beatty, Dick Tracy.
Yeah, man, and that's what I'm about. Physical media, you can't get that anywhere else apart from DVDs. So that's the thing. And then like every now and again there'll be a film that someone will go, they can't find it, and Magic Mark calls me a womble. He says I'm like a tap womble. I can just find anything.
I had the Dick Tracy watch when I was a kid. Just random fact.
I was talking about it. I remember going to see Dick Tracy and going to McDonald's afterwards because they had Dick Tracy Happy Meals. Yeah.
Yeah. Dude, but yeah, I had to watch and everything. I was just proper like, remember sitting in school just like, just randomly talking to myself. Dude, that's awesome. I need to put a pin in that before I start randomly talking about old school films. Because we've already talked. I've resisted the urge of talking Bloodsport as little as possible. You talk Dick Tracy now. I'm like, oh my days. When I'm talking Big Trouble in Little China or something at some point. I don't know.
I think that's actually on the pile, mate, to be honest.
Yes.
Is it? No, it was. It was, but it's not actually here. That's one of my favorite movies. I'm actually wearing a John Carpenter t-shirt at the moment.
I thought something Carpenter-esque. That was what I was like. Oh, okay. I'm either going to mention The Thing or I'm going to mention Big Trouble at some point.
Yeah,
dude.
In
this weather, though, you need the Jack Burton vest. That's what you should be rocking at the minute.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's it. Yeah. You don't want to see my skinny limbs flapping around just yet. But yeah, it's fucking crazy hot in here. I'm gonna have to go outside and have a drink soon. I'm actually just sweat running down me like an old alcoholic.
Dude, I will let you get gone. I've noticed the time we've gone over the hour mark. I know, I'd probably, in all honesty, I'd probably keep you for another 10-15 minutes of this, where this conversation's going. But I know it's hot, mate. I don't want you to kind of just melt away.
Don't worry, we can do it again. I said it was probably going to be my last interview, but I realised that was just me being a bit fucking weird the other day. I can't not do interviews. So,
to be fair, it's totally your prerogative. Kingsley can do them. Or get the next man to. But hopefully, I get a pass and we get to speak again. So,
yeah.
But. Dude, it's been an absolute pleasure. But yeah, I'm starting to feel bad keeping, because I can only imagine how toasty you were. I'm in a big-ish room here. I've got like a living room and a dining room in one. It's it's wide, and I'm sweating sort of buckets. So if you're in an office, mate, it's not even an office anymore. It's a sauna. So
yeah,
I will say, where can people find all the information they want to find about Kumite on the socials?
Social medias, it's everything is at official Kumite, or just search for Kumite Combat Wrestling. We've got like Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. We're mainly active on Instagram, to be honest, but we've got all the others just because you got to have them. But yeah, everything. We've got a few matches on YouTube. The first show is up for free on YouTube. So yeah, just search for Kumite Combat Wrestling. All of our shows so far are available on IWTV subscription, and if you watch us on there, we get a little bit of a rub. So we actually get a little bit of money from that. We do all right. So if you want to support us in any way, go and watch us on IWTV if you can.
I will post a link in the episode description. So click in the description, click on the link. Yeah, go watch and get these guys paid. That's what it's. We'll tag you and stuff anyway on here. So obviously, hopefully, most people watching this, I can't really speak. I'm melting. Watching this, already follow us on Insta, already follow us on Twitter. So when we tag Kumite in, please hit the follow button. If you're in Derby, if you're anywhere near Vine, go check out the next show. Trust me, if you've never been before, you will go back. You will enjoy it. It's something you'll remember. And as always, I will say thank you for watching. Hit like, hit subscribe, share, comments. Talking of Fight Factory, we've got Kaz Crash on Wednesday, who has come back after a few years away. And I was working very closely, obviously, with NGW and Fight Factory. So that was a good segue into that one. So I look forward to speaking to Kaz. Obviously, if you know him back in the day, he was one half of The Proven. Very, very cool guy. And I'm interested in picking his brain. So look forward to that. And yeah, dude, thank you so much for sitting there in this heat and talking to me for an hour. I can't even tell you how much it is appreciated, dude. Thank you.
Oh, no worries, mate. No worries. So,
right. So
enjoyed it.
That's the thing. As long as you enjoyed it, we can tolerate the heat. We can tolerate the sweatiness, and me not being debeaned. It's all good. And I will end on a debeaning. So there we go. Right. See you later. Goodbye.